This program contains graphic violence and sexual situations. Viewer discretion is advised. In November of 2007, the body of beautiful 21-year-old British student Meredith Kercher is found half naked in the blood-spattered bedroom of her Italian cottage.
The fatal blow to Meredith's neck was so savage, grisly, and gruesome.
The sexually violent murder excites the European media, who demand the culprit be identified, apprehended, and punished.
In the justice system in Italy, the prosecutor led this investigation.
Within days, police arrest the victim's pretty 20-year-old roommate and her boyfriend, accusing them of engaging in a bizarre sex orgy gone horribly wrong.
Amanda's statements were written by police, and she signed them.
I went into this case assuming that she was guilty.
The provocative murder investigation captures the imagination of the entire world.
Every day they would come up with a fantastic headline. It would go like all over the world. It would be repeated in all these different newspapers, some of them quite legitimate.
And becomes one of the most controversial convictions in modern history.
Where's the evidence?
The stalking, the threats, the slut-shaming, the vitriol, scary, scary stuff.
The closest you'll ever be to seeing the Salem witch trials would be the atmosphere in the courtroom and outside the courtroom.
Meet Amanda Knox.
I'm Amanda.
A carefree American girl studying abroad, until scandal made her famous.
It was a dark, tantalizing, scandalous story that seemed ripped from Hollywood headlines.
Within days of her roommate's murder, Amanda Knox was labeled a sex-starved demon in the press.
It was almost biblical at times, the language in the courtroom. Amanda Knox is the face of an angel and the heart of the devil.
Her torrid story splashed across the pages of newspapers and magazines in every part of the globe.
Foxy Knoxy, orgies, satanic rituals. The tabloid media was out of control. There were no rules.
And social media exploded with wild theories and speculation.
Amanda Knox, wants to break out of prison to vote for Obama. We'd see these kinds of things.
You gotta be kidding me. Where's this stuff coming from?
Books and movies have chronicled the unbelievable story of how a young American woman became locked up abroad. Even today, Amanda Knox is still plagued by the headlines and their scandalous accusations.
Amanda Knox is not the person the tabloid media said she was. She is not that person.
No matter what she did, she was on, the railroad job from hell. She was on that train, and it was not getting off the track for years and years and years and years.
If truly innocent, how did Amanda Knox become entangled in a murder she didn't commit? 1987, Seattle, Washington. Amanda Knox is born to Etta, a school teacher, and Kurt, a financial executive.
Amanda's parents divorced when she was just a toddler, but they had a good relationship and they came together a lot of times just to support her.
Go, Foxy Knoxy! Go!
Amanda is dubbed Foxy Knoxy due to her quick skills on the soccer field. But this innocent nickname will be used in ways that she can never imagine.
Amanda's a really smart person. She was an excellent student, a good soccer player, but a really good person with a lot of friends.
She's really sweet. She's quirky, a little hippie-ish, very Seattle.
Although athletically gifted, Amanda is equally focused on her studies. In high school, she attends Seattle Preparatory Academy, a private Catholic school on a scholarship.
Amanda was pretty, and so the boys liked her. But she was a late bloomer and didn't start dating until later in high school.
She was a little bit sexually naive, her friend said, not real experienced.
In 2005, Amanda Knox graduates from high school and enters the University of Washington, pursuing a degree in linguistics.
She spoke 3, 4, maybe more languages. She had a knack for it.
And then wanted to go to Italy because she wanted to acquire another language. And that was a language that she had not done yet.
There was something about Italy that really appealed to Amanda, and she started thinking about what it would take to get there.
Può parlare fluentemente.
One day on campus, Amanda spotted this posting about study abroad opportunities in Perugia, Italy. Amanda loved the idea because the teachings at the university would be totally in Italian. It was an immersive program.
Amanda works several jobs to raise $10,000 for her trip.
It's like every other kid who wants to go to Europe. If it was my kid, I'd say, great, let's get a job and start contributing to the piggy bank here so that we've got enough money to pull this off.
It's the end of summer in 2007, and while packing for her move to Italy, Amanda's friend presents her with a pink vibrator as a gag gift.
To use until you find your Italian stallion.
Ooh, this is gonna be the best trip ever.
I'm gonna miss you.
Miss you too.
Amanda's gag gift will soon be used as evidence against her. Before Amanda leaves for Italy, her parents throw her a send-off celebration.
Miss you too, Mom. It's only you.
But Amanda will not see her home again for more than 4 years.
Amanda, who went to Perugia in 2007, was a 20-year-old, wide-eyed college student off for the adventure of a lifetime. She also hoped that she would have a better sense of herself and a new sense of confidence.
To get to Perugia, Amanda travels by train through much of Europe. Along the way, she records her innermost thoughts.
Amanda was a creative writer, so in her journal, she talked about studying in Italy. She wanted to become a woman.
Ciao.
On the train to Perugia, Amanda meets a young Italian man named Cristiano, and she decides that her grown-up adventures will start then.
Cristiano speaks little English, but flirting is a universal language. Although they don't have sex, Amanda later writes that Cristiano was her first one-night stand.
She's a 20-year-old college kid. She's kind of pushing a little bit out there. She was exploring not only this new city, but perhaps her sexuality as well.
In late August of 2007, while at the University of Foreigners in Perugia, Amanda spots a flyer on a bulletin board at the university. The address reads Via Pergola 7.
Via Pergola was a cottage in a not-so-nice area of town. In Italian, they called that area Brutta Zona, which means bad neighborhood. But she's a college student, and the rent is cheap enough, so she decided to take it.
When Amanda moves to her Italian cottage, she meets one of her new housemates, 22-year-old British student Meredith Kercher.
Meredith Kercher was an extremely intelligent, very beautiful young woman, and she grew up in Croydon, England, and she was, I think, pretty sheltered until she went to Perugia.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot. I'm Meredith.
She seemed like a wonderful college kid who had the whole world and her whole life in front of her.
Hey, come out with me tonight. I'll introduce you to the peeps and places of Perugia. Sure, sounds great.
Amanda and Meredith hit it off instantly, and she couldn't wait to start this new life in Italy.
It's the fall of 2007 in Perugia, Italy. Amanda Knox and her new roommate, Meredith Kercher, are out for a night on the town.
Like most college students, Amanda and Meredith liked to party, and that wasn't cheap. So Amanda and her parents decided that she could go get a part-time job to help pay some expenses.
I need a job. Well, it shouldn't be hard. I mean, bars like this are always hiring pretty girls to bring customers through that door. Shut up. I'm serious. Hey, I need a job.
Amanda is introduced to the bar owner, Patrick Lumumba. Lumumba, well known in Perugia for being outgoing and friendly, hires Amanda to wait on tables and hand out flyers to promote the bar. On October 25th, Amanda and Meredith attend a concert.
Amanda and Meredith were immersing themselves in all the rich culture that Italy had to offer, including the cute Italian boys.
He's still looking over you. He just smiled at you. Okay, well, I'll meet you later. Have fun.
Meredith has to leave, and local student Raffaele Solecito seizes the opportunity to meet Amanda.
Is this seat taken?
Oh, no.
I'm Raffaele.
I'm Amanda.
She thought he looked like Harry Potter, and she thought Harry Potter was cute.
He was a doctor's son. He was about to go off to graduate school. He wasn't, I think, real experienced in sexual relationships.
Amanda and Raffaele immediately begin dating, and over the next several days, the two college students become inseparable, even cooking together at Raffaele's apartment.
It's my mother's risotto. Have you had risotto?
Not your mother's. It smells so good.
I think he cared for Amanda, and both of them had kind of a young puppy love almost approach.
I think that Raffaele fell in love with the idea of Amanda Knox. It's this beautiful American girl who was vivacious, but they were just getting to know each other.
Amanda and Raffaele liked to smoke pot together, which many people say is very common in Perugia. In fact, a lot of students just smoked it out in the open.
There were kids walking up and down the streets drinking and smoking joints and partying. This was a college town.
It's Halloween night, 2007. Amanda has to work at the bar, and she tries to persuade Raffaele to come with her.
Will you come with me?
No. Sadly, I must work on my thesis. But I'll be waiting for you, my kitty.
Later that night, while Amanda was waiting tables, Meredith and some friends stopped by.
Here you go, man. Hi, Foxy Noxy.
Count Secula.
Where's Romeo?
He's working on his thesis. Yeah.
Meredith will be dead in approximately 24 hours. November 1st, 2007. It's All Saints' Day across the world, where millions celebrate the day after Halloween to honor the dead.
Nice pants.
I'm doing laundry.
Uh-huh.
This is presumably the last time Amanda sees Meredith Kercher alive.
She goes to take a shower, and Raffaele comes in to hang out with Amanda for a while.
According to the couple, after relaxing in Amanda's cottage, they head to Raffaele's flat nearby. When they arrive, they download Amanda's favorite movie, Amelie, and later tell prosecutors that they planned to watch it until Amanda's shift at the bar. But before she leaves for work, Amanda says she receives good news from her boss, Patrick.
Oh, yeah. I don't have to work tonight.
What?
Yeah, Patrick said they're slow.
We can watch Amelie.
Amanda replies in Italian, "See you later. Have a good evening."
As they're cleaning up the dishes, the sink gets clogged and overflows.
Oh, it's plugged up again.
What?
The sink.
You're all wet.
I am.
According to her testimony, Amanda says that she and Raffaele made love that night. But police will later question this claim. The next day, Amanda claims she walks home from Raffaele's to her cottage.
Amanda says when she gets to her cottage, though, the door is open.
The door had problems on latching and locking, so it wasn't unusual to her to see something, the door ajar or not quite locked and closed.
According to Amanda, when she enters, she notices that Meredith's bedroom door is closed and assumes she is still sleeping. Amanda says she decides to take a shower, and inside the bathroom, she sees a small amount of blood.
Raffaele stops by, and Amanda tells him that she's worried about Meredith. She tells him that the door was open, that there were drops of blood in the house, and that Meredith's not answering her door.
She is probably just hungover.
Meredith? I think not. She's like a mother hen.
Let me take a look.
Just then, 2 postal police officers stop by and ask if a Meredith Kercher lives there. The officers tell Amanda that they have Meredith's cell phone found in a neighbor's backyard.
I've been banging on her door and she's not answering.
Oh, let me check.
Meredith's bedroom door is forced open, revealing a shocking crime scene.
Meredith's body is lying face up, covered by a beige duvet cover, and 1 foot is exposed.
The crime scene also includes a bloody handprint on the wall, blood all around Meredith's floor and bed, and blood on the duvet.
There was human excrement in the toilet in the second bathroom, and a knife print on the linen.
At the age of 22, British student Meredith Kercher is dead. The autopsy shows that she was punched in the face and has defensive stab wounds on her body. Meredith fought desperately for her life.
The fatal blow to Meredith's neck was so savage, grisly, and gruesome.
And her half-naked body points to a sexual attack.
So the Italian police and the CSI team immediately dispatched to Amanda's cottage to investigate the crime.
In Italy, the lead prosecutor is in charge of murder investigations. And in Perugia, that person is veteran Chief Prosecutor Giuliano Mignini.
In the United States, police investigate, turn that evidence over to a prosecutor, make a recommendation to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor decides, was a law violated, was a crime committed, therefore do we move ahead and prosecute, do we have enough evidence? In the justice system in Italy, the problem you have there, the prosecutor led this investigation.
Perugia didn't have a lot of murders. This was a town of students and tourists. So Prosecutor Mignini probably felt some pressure to make an arrest quickly and to solve this case.
My personal belief is that they were more after a conviction than they were after justice.
Amanda and Raffaele wait outside, unaware of Mignini observing their behavior. He sees their actions as inappropriate, and in his eyes, they're people of immediate interest.
She kissed her boyfriend. That meant she was wanton, guilty. They thought it was suspicious.
I think Amanda was a little naive and a little culturally tone deaf. She didn't understand the way she came across.
When Amanda called her mother right at the time of the discovery of the murder, her mother said, "Do you want to come home?" And Amanda said, "No, I want to stay and help."
The next few days, Amanda and Raffaele are both questioned separately by Italian authorities.
You were at Raffaele's all night.
Yeah, we stayed in all night. We made dinner and we watched a movie.
Did you smoke marijuana?
I didn't want to get anybody in trouble, but yes, we smoked some joints.
I was sleeping.
During one of Raffaele's long interrogations, Amanda is reportedly doing cartwheels in the hallway. When the press somehow gets wind of this, they go wild.
A lot was made of Amanda's cartwheels at the police station, but you have to remember she was there for hours, and Amanda later said that this was just a way to relieve tension.
She had been sitting on benches for hours and hours. She had had very little sleep in the previous nights. They were utterly exhausted, utterly emotionally drained, and she stretched herself while waiting and waiting and waiting. That turned into, oh, she is turning cartwheels. And the very word evokes this imagery of someone having a lark. It absolutely was not the case.
According to Amanda, each interrogation is more aggressive than the last. Amanda says detectives hit her, called her a liar, and denied her food and sleep.
This was a young, lovely, trusting, sweet American girl who did not really understand Italian very well at the time she was interrogated. They did not offer her a real translator, did not offer her a lawyer.
These sono tutte bugie. You are lying.
Without an attorney present, Amanda and Raffaele's alibi of pot smoking and sex the night of Meredith's murder become taboo events to be used against them.
Investigators also found the pink vibrator that Amanda had gotten as a gag gift right before she left for Italy.
She was not fitting the image of the pure Madonna. You know, she was fitting the image of the whore.
They did their news conference saying, we know what happened and who did it. long before the processing of the crime scene had been completed. So if you're a CSI, if you're investigating the crime scene and you know your boss has already come to the conclusion that we know who did it and we know what happened, are you looking for evidence that will take you in another direction? Or are you simply looking for evidence that will support that theory?
Prosecutor McNeely has his reasons to believe Amanda was involved in Meredith's murder. She was the first person at the scene of the crime. But according to Amanda, Raffaelli's overflowing sink is the reason she went home.
As they're cleaning up the dishes, the sink gets clogged and overflows. Raffaelli doesn't have a mop, so Amanda says she'll bring hers over the next morning.
Authorities also find it suspect that Amanda ignored clues like the front door being ajar.
The door had problems on latching and locking, so it wasn't unusual to her to see something, the door ajar or not quite locked and closed.
And seeing blood drops and smears in the bathroom.
They were very small. Bottom line, she didn't see anything that concerned her.
McNeely also feels that at the crime scene, Amanda and Raffaelli were more focused on their romance than her roommate's dead body.
Sex drove the plot, starting with the half-naked young woman found dead on the floor. The prosecutor was absolutely obsessed with that image, and he saw Amanda Knox out with her boyfriend kissing. And then he combined them into the sex game gone wrong.
When authorities took Amanda's phone, they found text messages between her and her boss on the night of the murder. And the text messages basically said, "You don't have to come in, it's a slow night." And Amanda wrote back in Italian, "Okay, see you later."
But in Italian culture, the phrase "see you later" is taken more literally than its American use, and in this case will be interpreted by Italian authorities to mean a prearranged meeting between Amanda and Patrick.
Banijay et al. Took that to mean see you later to kill Meredith together. To them, it's like, I need to see you later to, do this dastardly thing.
Everybody knows that Americans say, "I'll see you later," and everybody knows that that does not mean that very second.
Investigators also find a compelling piece of physical evidence.
Investigators found a hair from a black person in the apartment, and in their minds, this turned into some sort of sex game between Amanda and Raffaelli and Patrick Lumumba.
You were there
I wasn't there. I don't
when
know.
Patrick Lumumba.
No, I wasn't there.
You were there.
I wasn't there.
You were there with.
You were there.
Amanda told me that it was the police who put that name in her mind and on her lips, that they pushed this theory that Patrick Lumumba was complicit with her.
Based on Amanda's statement, Patrick Lumumba, Amanda's boss at the bar, is arrested. But authorities still aren't convinced that Amanda and Raffaelli were at his flat all night and question them daily.
Raffaelli finally said, "Yeah, maybe Amanda could have possibly left my apartment, killed her roommate, and come back without me knowing." Plausible? Absolutely not. Humanly possible? Yeah, maybe.
When detectives show Raffaelli's statement to Amanda, she breaks down. She then signs a pre-written confession, scripted in Italian, saying she had returned to her house on the night of November 1st. It says she stabbed Meredith as Patrick restrained the victim inside Meredith's own bedroom.
She finally broke down and thought, well, if Raffaelli is saying I did this because police lied and said that he was implicating her, if they say I have amnesia, if they say I committed this crime, what if they're right?
Amanda's statements were written by police and she signed them. But after a little break, she made an amendment in them in her own handwriting.
She wrote a note the following day that explained that that was like a vision, that she wasn't really clear about any of the details because she was very confused and very exhausted.
Still, Amanda is arrested on murder charges on November 5th, 2007, less than a week after Meredith Kercher was killed.
And police arrest Raffaelli as Amanda's accomplice, and they both wait to stand trial.
In the United States, or at least in Seattle, when you're arrested for a crime and held, then they only have 72 hours, the prosecutors, in which to charge you, or they have to let you go. In Italy, it can be a year to 2. And so in her case, she had a closed hearing for a year on whether she would be charged with murder. And that was the problem.
It is from the closed-door hearings that salacious and private information is allegedly leaked to the press.
They picked her MySpace page apart. Anything that was on there, everything she'd ever posted, was twisted to make it look like, aha, we now have proof that, in fact, the prosecution is right.
It's one of those things that the media couldn't get enough of. This was like a TV movie that you would see, but this was real life. These were real people, and it was a real murder.
An American student, a dead young co-ed, pot smoking, sex. The story has all the ingredients that sell papers.
And then somehow Foxy Knoxy became a headline in the British tabloids, and that was all they needed to continue to blow up this image of her as some kind of a sexual psychopath.
The volume of material that was produced by the tabloid media really was a big hurdle for us to overcome.
After 2 weeks in custody, Amanda's former boss, Patrick Lumumba, is released due to Loctite alibis and witness statements.
He went through a terrible experience, being ripped out of his home in front of his family and accused of these awful, awful crimes. His only crime was that he happened tangentially to be Amanda Knox's employer.
But Amanda and Raffaele are still in prison, and they're proclaiming their innocence. But if they didn't kill Meredith, and Patrick didn't kill Meredith, who did?
Just 2 weeks after the arrest of Amanda Knox, police matched fingerprints found in Meredith Kercher's bedroom to a small-time burglar and thief named Rudy Guede.
Days after the murder, Rudy Guede had fled to Germany, and when they finally caught up with him, he did admit that he was in Meredith's room on the night of the murder.
He denies killing Meredith. Police arrest him, but this does nothing to exonerate Amanda and Raffaele. In fact, the prosecution paints a picture of collusion between the three, still maintaining that Kercher died as a result of a sex game gone wrong.
Amanda told me that she considered suicide in prison. She was so distraught. She believed she had no hope. It was her family that got her through that.
Amanda's supporters claim that these charges are based on the Italian justice system's hatred of a young, pretty American girl who likes to party and have sex.
Perhaps it was a cultural dislike, a cultural hatred, but the guilt was assigned before the evidence was even looked at.
You know, she was young. She was doing all kinds of fun new things. But she never in a million years thought that that would be probable cause for murder.
She's actually asked to write down the names of all of her previous sexual partners.
They told Amanda she was maybe testing positive for HIV. So we need a list of all those people you may have had sex with so we can track it down. The real purpose of that was to leak the list.
Because the prosecution was going with this sex game gone wrong theory, the European media was getting all these tips about her sex life, and they would exaggerate and embellish them and turn it into this tawdry soap opera.
They were trying to paint a picture of Amanda as some oversexed young American girl, which absolutely was not true.
After over a year in prison, amid scandalous accusations being spread by the media, the trial of Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito begins for the stabbing death of 22-year-old Meredith Kercher.
Amanda proclaims her innocence, but prosecutors and the European media have made up their mind that she's guilty.
They criticized the fact that she would walk in and smile in the courtroom. Why did she smile? Because she was out of prison and seeing her family and her lawyers who were supporting her. So it was a pleasant experience for her when she walked in.
If there is confidence on the faces of the defense, it is because they believe the overwhelming evidence implicating the suspected killer, Rudy Guede, can now be used to acquit Amanda and Raffaele.
After all the evidence was collected, it pointed to Rudy Guede, who is this small-time crook. He was a burglar and a drug dealer who kind of knew the guys downstairs.
Rudy Guede was strong. He was athletic. If you look outside at that window and the house, it seemed to me that it was certainly possible for someone like him to lean over the ledge and pull himself up and get through that window.
Guede tells authorities that he was on a prearranged date with Meredith. And while he was using her restroom, he heard screaming and ran out to find a man in the shadows holding a knife over her bloody body. According to Guede, the killer flees and Rudy rushes to Meredith's aid. However, evidence of this mystery assailant is never found.
He's the only one whose DNA was at the scene, the only one who fled after this murder occurred, the only one who admitted being in the house.
Additional evidence includes Guede's DNA found on Meredith's purse, and his shoe prints in Meredith's blood found in the bathroom and in the hallway leading out to the front door.
Rudy Guede's semen, his DNA, was left in and on Meredith Kercher. He left all kinds of traces behind. He left his feces in the toilet, which again matched up to his DNA.
That's an open and shut case.
While in custody awaiting his trial, Rudy Guede's story changes numerous times. From being on a date with Meredith and seeing the mystery killer as he fled, to now Amanda and Raffaele being those killers. Guede says his DNA and fingerprints are all over the room because he was trying to resuscitate Meredith. But according to the evidence, here is one plausible scenario of how Meredith Kercher's murder may have tragically unfolded. While burglarizing Amanda and Meredith's cottage, Rudy Guede, with a history of stomach issues, uses their restroom. While Guede is indisposed, Meredith comes home unexpectedly.
There was a struggle. Meredith fought for her life that night.
We don't know. Maybe he was obsessed with her. Maybe he just meant to rob her.
Would you? Just relax. Aren't you okay? You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
But he did have the attempted sexual assault.
At some point, Guede decides to kill Kercher.
And we have his evidence all through her room.
This was an epic struggle where Meredith had been cut up, but Raffaele and Amanda didn't have any marks on them.
No DNA from Amanda Knox or Raphael was ever found in the bedroom, anywhere. They didn't go in there. There was no evidence. Rudy Guede's DNA was all over the place. They had none.
Although the evidence points to Guede as the sole killer, Mignini is still convinced that 3 attackers were involved.
The motive was constantly evolving. It started as a sacrificial rite, perhaps, that Meredith was killed because it was Halloween and the Day of the Dead, and she was killed as part of a sacrificial rite, a sexual deviancy.
And then it evolved into this ritualistic gang, sex slaying, led by Amanda Knox.
The evolving, convoluted, changing motive bothered me because it didn't ever seem to be founded in evidence.
But the prosecution does have what they consider to be the smoking gun.
Authorities said that there was DNA belonging to Raffaele, to Amanda, and to Meredith on a knife in his apartment.
Grab that knife and cut the vegetables.
But Amanda had cooked there before, so it wasn't out of the ordinary that maybe her DNA would be on it.
There are also no traces of blood found on the knife, and it would later be proven that the knife was contaminated when the lab exposed it to other items containing Meredith's DNA.
What is called the knife that was Raphael's kitchen knife, one of his kitchen knives, had a much wider blade. It could not have been associated with the stab wounds in Meredith Kercher.
The prosecution presents another piece of evidence that they consider key.
Meredith's bra clasp was collected as evidence 46 days after the murder. prosecutors said that Raffaelli's DNA was found on the clasp.
Now, during those 46 days, the crime scene was largely unsecured. And in fact, the bra clasp was left on one side of the room. It wound up underneath a throw rug on the other side of the room when they actually found it. So this bra clasp that has been kicked around on a floor by who knows how many people for almost more than 7 weeks wound up being sampled, and they found DNA from several different people.
One of these people is Raffaelli, although the defense argues there was cross-contamination.
But also you have a very tiny amount of Raphael's DNA, maybe, and they magically found it on the one piece of evidence that they had left behind. So finally we have tied him to the crime. It was magical. It was an amazing thing. It was completely unbelievable.
Amanda and Raffaelli's defense teams argued that of course their DNA was in the apartment. Amanda lived there and Raffaelli was her boyfriend. But here's the strange thing. Other than the bra clasp, there were no fingerprints and no DNA from either Amanda or Raffaelli in Meredith's room.
The prosecution claims that Amanda and Raffaelli had cleaned the murder scene, selectively removing only their DNA using a mop and bleach.
But if that's the case, wouldn't they have cleaned up Rudy Guede's DNA too? You can't just clean up some DNA and not the rest.
It's really a one guy attempts to rape and then kills one girl case. And sadly, we see those often in the US and around the world.
On December 4th, 2009, after almost a year-long trial, a verdict is reached. For Amanda and Raffaelli, the judgment is earth-shattering.
Amanda Knox was given 26 years in an Italian prison. That was 1 year more than Raffaelli because she was also convicted of falsely implicating her boss, Patrick Lumumba.
I was flabbergasted. The closest you'll ever be to seeing the Salem witch trials would be the atmosphere in the courtroom and outside the courtroom.
And the bells were all ringing and they were chanting murderous, murderous. So obviously there were those in the community that felt that way about her.
In the United States, the verdict is widely viewed as a miscarriage of justice.
They didn't listen to the facts of the case. All they did, they listened to the media lies that were put out there.
There were multiple smoking guns that pointed to Rudy Guede. It isn't a bewildering thing. It isn't a great mystery. What happened is really quite simple as far as the murder is concerned. The real mystery is, why did they go after Amanda Knox with such a vengeance? Why did they try to build her into the she-devil, sex fiend, satanic, sex scheming person when there was no evidence of it whatsoever?
Amanda's story became huge in America. People were wondering how this could have happened. It was a travesty, but it sure did sell magazines.
Italian law allows for an automatic appeal, which means a complete second trial that reviews all of the evidence from the first trial.
On November 24th, 2010, an appeals trial opened up in Perugia. This was the chance that both Amanda and Raffaelli had of finally tasting freedom.
On the last day of Amanda Knox's appeals trial, almost a year after she was originally convicted of killing Meredith Kercher, Amanda and her presumed accomplice, Raffaelli, give impassioned statements to the court declaring their innocence.
Raffaelli addressed the court and said that he and Amanda hadn't committed any crimes. Then he took off his bracelet that he'd been wearing for the past 4 years in prison that said, "Free Amanda and Raffaelli."
Raffaelli says it is time to take it off because it is time to go home.
When it was Amanda's turn, she addressed the jury in the packed courtroom in her new fluent Italian language.
Io non sono quello che loro dicono.
Amanda tells the court, "I didn't do what they said I did. I didn't kill. I didn't rape. I didn't steal. I was not there. I want to go home because I am innocent."
4 years after Meredith Kercher's murder, Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito were acquitted and set free.
They are acquitted of offense of charges A, B, C, D. Knox Amanda is free and Sollecito Raffaele as well.
Raffaelli stays in Italy and starts to rebuild his life. Amanda flies home to Seattle.
When she finally came home, she had a huge crowd to welcome her. I've never seen anything like that unless it was for the Seahawks, after the Super Bowl.
Now back in Seattle, Amanda tries to readjust to her old life But she's often followed by paparazzi. She's a local celebrity in a way she never wanted to be. Approximately 6 years after Meredith Kercher's murder, Amanda and Raffaele get the second shock of their lives when an Italian court overturns the acquittal that freed them.
Amanda's been back in Seattle for a couple years, so imagine the horror of being found guilty again.
Amanda was back here in the United States. They were threatening to try to get her extradited, but Raphael was in Italy. And so there was very deep concern that Raphael would wind up spending decades in prison.
But before that could happen, the second guilty verdict is appealed. And in 2015, Amanda and Raffaele are exonerated. Their nightmare is finally over.
From a crowded house in Seattle, Amanda and her family celebrate the final verdict.
I'm so grateful to have my life back.
Supreme Court, in the end, said flawed evidence, shocking errors, investigative amnesia, that the case simply wasn't there. This is a big deal. It's not a finding of not guilty. It was a finding of innocence.
A free woman, Amanda Knox completes her degree and writes her memoir, Waiting to be Heard, that she reportedly writes to pay a portion of her immense legal fees. In 2011, a cable TV movie entitled Amanda Knox, Murder on Trial in Italy premieres, featuring Hayden Panettiere in the title role.
And Amanda was part of a widely anticipated documentary on Netflix called Amanda Knox.
Today, Amanda works as a freelance writer in Seattle and is active with the Innocence Project and related organizations.
She's not going to be one of those people, you know, that you see out there with some reality series. That's not Amanda Knox.
Another reason why this was so big is that Amanda was so articulate in explaining what happened. Your heart went out to her, you could connect with her. And that's why the Amanda Knox story is being talked about now, and that's why it's going to be talked about in 20 years from now.
Giuliano Mignini, the Italian prosecutor in the Amanda Knox case, was sentenced in 2011 to 16 months in jail for authorizing wiretaps in a separate case. He is currently appealing. Of Amanda and Raffaele, he has said this, quote, "If they are innocent, I hope they are able to forget the suffering that they have endured."
When I think about Meredith Kercher, I feel sadness. I think about how her family will never see her again. And there's just a deep hole in their lives. I mean, what a horrific way to lose a child.
Meredith was my friend, and she deserved so much in this life. I'm the lucky one.